UFC 200 live updates, results from Friday's The Ultimate Fighter finale. Times reporter Lance Pugmire and special correspondent Todd Martin are in Las Vegas and will bring you all the news in the build-up to UFC 200. During the event Saturday night, Martin will give round-by-round updates right here on every fight, including the main events of Brock Lesnar vs Mark Hunt and Miesha Tate vs Amanda Nunes. Suarez rolls to Ultimate Fighter title. Tatiana Suarez was the heavy favorite going into her Ultimate Fighter Championship fight against Amanda Cooper, and she justified that with her performance. Suarez took Cooper down, dominated her on the ground with strikes, and finished the fight with a DRS choke for the first round submission. Suarez is now 4-0 professionally, while Cooper falls to 1-2. Todd Martin Jedrzejczyk showcases championship medal against Gadelha. UFC Women's Strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk faced early adversity in her title defense against top contender Claudia Gadelha. Gadelha grinned on Jedrzejczyk, taking the champion down repeatedly and landing some hard shots as well in the exchanges. 2.5 rounds in, it looked like Gadelha might take the title away from the Polish champion. The problem for Gadelha was that Jedrzejczyk kept coming. Getting up over and over, the champion eventually depleted the challenger's energy reserves. From there, Gadelha was a sitting duck for Jedrzejczyk. The champion punished her in the stand-up throughout the second half of the fight, turning in a dominant performance and pulling away in emphatic fashion. The champion retained her title via unanimous decision, 48-46, 48-45 and 48-46. The Times scored the fight 48-46 for Jedrzejczyk. After the fight, Jedrzejczyk made an effort to reconcile with her fierce rival Gadelha. "I said after our first fight she is number 1 and I am the champion," Jedrzejczyk said. "I have so much respect for her." She then apologized to Gadelha for the contentious war of words between the two. She also expressed her interest in fighting at Madison Square Garden later in the year. With the win, Jedrzejczyk improved to 12-0, while Gadelha fell to 13-2. Todd Martin UFC 200 fight schedule for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday undercard starts at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time, shown on UFC Fight Pass. Reginaldo Vieira vs Marco Beltran, Alvaro Herrera vs Vicente Luke, Gilbert Burns vs Lucas Sajewski, Felipe Arance vs Jared Sanders, Russell Doane vs Pedro Munhoz, Anthony Burchett vs Dilno Lopes, Mehdi Baghdad vs John Makdisi. Main card starts at 7 p.m. PT, shown on UFC Fight Pass. Mike Pyle vs Alberto Mina, Joseph Duffy vs Mitch Clark Allen, Jubin vs Belal Muhammad, Derek Lewis vs Roy Nelson, Rafael dos Anjos vs Eddie Alvarez. Friday early prelims starts at 4 p.m. PT, shown on UFC Fight Pass. Li Jingliang vs Anton Zafar, Kevin Lee vs Jake Matthews. Undercard starts at 5 p.m, shown on FS1. Josh Stansberry vs Corey Hendricks, Cesar Ferreira vs Anthony Smith, John Moraga vs Matthias Nicolau Pereira, Gray Maynard vs Fernando Bruno. Main card starts at 7 p.m. PT, shown on FS1. Joaquim Silva vs Andrew Holbrook, Du Ho Choi vs Thiago Tavares, Will Brooks vs Ross Pearson, Amanda Cooper vs Tatiana Suarez, Andrew Sanchez vs Khalil Roundtree, Joanna Jedrzejczyk vs Claudia Gadelha. Saturday early prelims starts at 3:30 p.m, shown on UFC Fight Pass. Joe Lauzon vs Diego Sanchez, Takanori Gomi vs Jim Miller, Thiago Santos vs Gegard Mousasi. Undercard starts at 5 p.m, shown on FS1. Sage Northcutt vs Enrique Marin, TJ Dillashaw vs Rafael Asunko, Kelvin Gastelum vs Johnny Hendricks, Juliana Pena vs Kat Zingano. Main card starts at 7 p.m, shown on PPV. Travis Brown vs Cain Velasquez, Jose Aldo vs Frankie Edgar, Miesha Tate vs Amanda Nunes, Brock Lesnar vs Mark Hunt, Daniel Cormier vs Anderson Silva. 9:26 p.m. Sanchez out-wrestles Roundtree for Ultimate Fighter title. The crowd didn't much like it, but Andrew Sanchez's wrestling was too much for Khalil Roundtree in the finals of the current season of The Ultimate Fighter. Sanchez took Roundtree down repeatedly and kept him down for almost the entirety of the fight. He wasn't able to do much damage or threaten with submissions, but Roundtree was unable to get back up, and that was the difference in the fight. Sanchez, 8-2, got the unanimous nod, 30-25, 30-25, 30-26, over the 4-1 Roundtree. Todd Martin 8:25 p.m. Brooks victorious in UFC debut over Game Pearson, one of the top lightweights in the sport. Will Brooks left Bellator as its lightweight champion in order to prove himself in the UFC ranks. His first test was Ross Pearson, a tough British veteran who did not make it easy on Brooks in Brooks' UFC debut. Pearson fought evenly with Brooks for much of the fight and really came on strong in the third and final round. There was some drama when the judges' scorecards were read, but all three scored it for Brooks, 29-28. Brooks, now 19-1, said after the bout that he is coming after UFC lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez, another fighter who came from Bellator to UFC. Todd Martin 7:48 p.m. Do Ho Choi is something special. Few nicknames in MMA are more fitting than Do Ho Choi's Korean Superboy nickname. The 25-year-old Choi could pass for a high school student, but when this Clark Kent dons his cape, he is a ferocious competitor. Choi improved his MMA record to 15-1 with his 8th consecutive knockout win, this time against respected veteran Thiago Tavares. The 9-year UFC veteran Tavares took Choi down early, but Choi worked his way back to his feet and went to town from there. Choi dropped Tavares with a straight right hand and then knocked him out with another right on the ground. It was a spectacular finish from Choi, whose unique persona and exciting style make him a potential star in the featherweight division. Todd Martin 7:19 p.m. Silva blitzes Holbrook. Joaquin Silva has a scary look, a menacing glare that suggests he means business. Against Andrew Holbrook, he showed that he has the skills to back that up. Silva hurt the formerly undefeated Holbrook with a punch and then followed up in devastating fashion, bouncing Holbrook's head off the canvas with repeated punches until the referee called a halt to the proceedings at just 34 seconds of the first round. Silva improves to 9-0 while Holbrook falls to 11-1. Todd Martin 7:04 p.m. Maynard returns to winner's circle. Former UFC lightweight title contender Gray Maynard was considered one of the best 155-pound fighters in the sport at one time. The former Michigan State wrestler then fell on hard times. A pair of fights with Frankie Edgar for the lightweight title netted only frustration. He dominated Edgar early, only for Edgar to come storming back both times for a draw and Edgar win. A strange inactive 5-round fight with Clay Guida followed, then 4 straight losses. Making his featherweight debut Friday night, Maynard finally rebounded. Maynard showed heart in walking through some stiff shots from his opponent Fernando Bruno and working his way out of a dangerous choke in the third. He also showed skill in landing quality shots of his own and significant takedowns. This produced a unanimous decision win, 30-27, 30-27, 30-27, Maynard's first since 2012 and one that he can be proud of. Todd Martin 6:33 p.m. Nicolau wins flyweight snooze fest. Since the UFC implemented a 125-pound division, it has been greeted alternately with apathy and outright rejection. Friday night was another bad night for the division, as the Las Vegas crowd roundly booed a boring fight that featured plenty of movement but little in the way of successful offense. Matheus Nicolau was declared the winner over John Moraga by split decision, 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. Todd Martin 6:07 p.m. Stansberry decisions. Hendricks in tough showdown. Corey Hendricks and Josh Stansberry, competitors on the most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter, faced each other Friday night. The fighters both had their moments on the feet, but Stansberry's wrestling was the difference as he picked up a majority decision win, 29-27, 29-27, 28-28. The win will earn Stansberry future UFC opportunities, while Hendricks will likely need to return to the regional scene. Todd Martin 5:27 p.m. Mutant ekes one out. Cesar Mutant Ferreira entered the UFC with plenty of hype. The winner of the much-watched first season of The Ultimate Fighter, Brazil, Ferreira was viewed as a potential star in the Brazilian market. Unfortunately, things didn't turn out quite that way for Pereira. 3 first-round knockout losses to CB Dollaway, Sam Alvey, and Jorge Masvidal left him struggling to retain a spot in the UFC. Friday night, Pereira did just enough to pick up a win against Anthony Smith. Smith landed the better shots throughout, but Pereira relied on takedowns to pick up a unanimous decision victory, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. Pereira, now 10-5, was unimpressive but will live to fight another day in the UFC. Smith, 25-12, will go back to the drawing board. Todd Martin.